Welcome to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary Emineth. Today we're going to be talking to Dr. Rick Becker, former state representative from District 7 here in Bismarck area. Also has been a candidate statewide, been involved politically for a long time, a strong conservative, have maybe some libertarian bent. I'm going to ask him some questions about that. But he hasn't announced, but he's going to be making on our show today regarding his political career, and we get a chance to make it on Open Range. So we're excited for that today. So Dr. Becker, welcome to Open Range.
Thanks, Gary. Happy to be on. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
It's good to have you here. So, before we get started about your announcement, you brought me a great book in on Hayek. So, we've done these shows on Hazlitt and Hayek and Bastiat. And been well received. I've had a lot of comments from people that watch them. We gave away some books, so you brought me a nice one on Hayek in the 21st century. I'm looking forward to it. Essays in Political Economy.
Yes, you're very welcome. It's he's, as you know, he's got some. He makes sense, right? And even though he wrote it however many decades ago, it still applies to what we deal with today.
Yeah, so it's a fascinating guy. I've done these series of shows with Dick Armey. And he's a Hayek guy, but he's also, he loved Bastiat. His comment to me was Bastiat was one of the most brilliant minds it was tragic we lost him at such a young age.
Absolutely. If I remember right, about 40, age 40,
about 40, young guy.
I think.
Yeah,
crazy.
So anyway, it's too bad. So anyway, you're going to have an announcement. We maybe won't get to it just this instant, but let's talk a bit about your political career, the years you've spent in politics, like when you served in the House, a number of years in your district. Many people on back know who you are, of course, from No Apologies when you did the show. But talk to us a little bit about what you've done all over the years.
Well, it was an interesting trajectory, I guess, or political career. In 2012, I was elected to the House of Representatives, and then I remained in the House of Representatives for the state for 10 years. So 2021 session was my last session. 2022, then someone else was elected. But so I was in a new district in 2012, and it was an off year, so I had to run again in 2014. And then I was there, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring in 2016 for governor, just because I have some ideas, and I think it's good to bring them out. And so then I ran in 2016 for governor, and that was a really interesting state convention. Of course, it was Doug Burgum and Wayne Stenjum and myself, and Doug Burgum, of course, got a distant third place in the convention. Obviously didn't win. And then 2018, I considered running for Congress, but I didn't, and I supported Kelly Armstrong, gave his endorsing speech. That's 2018, I think, is like the only year I haven't actually run for something. So 2014 or 2012, 2014, 2016, 2018, no. 2020, I ran again for my seat in the House. And that's another 4-year term. And then in 2022, I ran for U.S. Senate against John Hoeven. And then that was there's some big question marks at that convention, and so I didn't win that convention. It was extremely close, as you know, Gary. And then I decided to run as an independent, sort of like a last-minute, split-second decision in August. I was really frustrated with all of the spending and all of the inflation we were seeing coming down the line. And it wasn't just from Joe Biden, it was from the Congress, from the Senate and Congress, spending too much over the last 10 years. And so I decided to make a stand and ran for Senate as an independent in 2022. And then in 2024, I ran for Congress. And it was me and Julie Fedorchak and Mr. Balas. And that was an interesting run as well. So every 2 years, I'm running for something, it seems. It's just crazy. I don't know.
So you're thinking of doing something in 2026. That's what we're going to be talking about today a little bit. So having served in the State House and working with all those legislators, seeing how the state's, I would say, spending and some of their philosophies has been kind of interesting to see the trajectory that's happened with just the explosive spending in the state's been crazy.
Oh, it's amazing, and that's why I got in 2012, because what I was seeing on the national level, which was very concerning, as George Bush was getting out, and there was TARP and the bailouts, and Obama getting in and tripling down on the spending and government intervention. At that same time is when North Dakota was seeing this this upward trajectory of money coming in from oil. And as what I thought we were, a very conservative state, very red state, with that newfound revenue, I would have thought that we would have then decreased taxes, because the new oil revenue can replace the taxes. But instead, what I was seeing was just, no, we're going to just spend that in addition to what we've been spending. A very non-conservative approach, like more money, hey, we'll spend it. And I guess that's the tendency everywhere. But that's why I got in. And as much as I had some little effect here and there on the spending, the overall trajectory just skyrocketed. And so, yeah, our spending increase, the pace of our increase has outpaced every other state in the nation. I mean, our spending spree is greater per man, woman, and child than California, or Illinois, New Jersey, New York.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so the legislature, I mean, there's been talk of needing some change in leadership, because it's not going to change too often. The leadership sets who chairs the committees and all those kind of things. And so we'll maybe dig into that a little bit further. Let's talk about Congress a little bit. So when you have, I heard Alex Blasov was going to be possibly getting in this race. Julie Fedorchuk announced she's running for re-election. Talk a little bit about that campaign. Because we had a property tax in the ballot at the same time, and there was a lot of talk, and it looked like the massive infrastructure, deep state, in-state lobbyist efforts just went after that property tax initiative in such a big way. And to me, it looks like we still got all the money we can spend. We still have, we got an extra billion than we thought we had. And it just kind of, the same mindset goes on.
It's very much the same mindset. And yeah, we could have gotten rid of the property tax, but didn't. Overwhelmingly, the public sort of bought into or believed the fear-mongering campaign. And the numbers that were given on how much it would cost to replace now have been proven wrong with the new reports that came out from which I knew, which those of us knew, but it doesn't matter. They made up the numbers and then used those to scare people. So that's still on the horizon. But I mean, I don't know. I think we can tweak on the margins. We can try and make it better on the margins with property tax. But I don't see it going anywhere at this point. I mean, it's we shot that, and I don't know. I just don't see it going anywhere, Gary.
So let's talk about Congress just a little bit. I was going to ask you a little bit about how you feel Julie Fedorchuk has done. She's been down there for the first couple of years. She looks like she's rubber stamped most anything Trump's asked for.
Yeah.
And which there's a lot of people afraid of him, of course. What's your take on how she's done?
Well, isn't that interesting, Gary? People are afraid of him. What does that mean? He's not going to beat them up. He's not going to send some thugs to come to your house and ransack it. What they're fearful of is him putting someone up against them in the next campaign. So what they're afraid of is losing their seat. And that's what's so irritating. That's why we need people in there that will do the right thing, regardless of whether it increases their chance of not winning the next election. And we just don't have that. So I was very confused. I was frustrated as all get out and very confused as I saw Trump's endorsements. He has done them in the past, and I always viewed a lot of his endorsements as sort of just picking the people he thinks are going to win, so that he can say, "Oh, look at all these winners I have that I've endorsed." Now, he's stepped out and he's taken chances on some people. But like this last go-round, his endorsements against Bob Good, who is he was a very good congressman. He was the leader of the House Freedom Caucus. And getting him out and yet backing other people like Mike Johnson, who's the speaker, and say Julie Fedorchuk, for example. And then it occurred to me, he's not interested in people who are unafraid. He's not interested in people who won't hesitate to upset the apple cart to do the right thing. He's not interested in mavericks. He's not interested in renegades. In fact, he does not want renegades. He wants people who are going to say yes to him. That's it. And once he had Mike Johnson under his thumb, then he wants people that are the milquetoast, fall-in-line Republicans that are going to follow whatever the leadership says in the House. And that's what he has. And that's why some of the stuff that's going on, I'm very concerned about, because we all know that Trump has some tendencies that are not conservative, that are a little bit too aggressive as far as a too powerful executive branch. But I thought that because of the friction between him and Congress before, that Congress would keep him in check. But he masterfully has the leadership under his thumb and has backed people so that overall Congress just falls in line with what leadership wants, hence they fall in line with what Trump wants. So now there is no backstop, no keeping the executive in check.
You know, I see with Marjorie Taylor Greene stepping down, I mean, that's an interesting dynamic for her, because I think she could have still won in her district.
She probably could have. Maybe there's other things going on, and maybe she's just tired of the crap, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and with Trump going after her and calling her a traitor, now he's saying, oh, she's a very nice lady, but I disagree. But he just had called her a traitor. I mean, he just throws that out like it has no meaning. So, yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene stood up for some great things. I liked her chutzpah. I didn't agree with everything that she stood for, but she clearly was an individual that was undeterred from doing what she thought was right, which I admire. And then you have people like Thomas Massie and Senator Rand Paul, and Trump is going after them, the most principled people in Congress. And people that backed Trump when no one else would. And then he throws them aside and backs people like Lindsey Graham, who wanted to do anything he could to undermine, undercut, and get rid of Trump. And that's who he's backing. So, you know, it was crap before, and it's crap now out in Washington, D.C.
We're going to go to the break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you directly, what is the announcement we're going to make?
All right.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back talking to Dr. Rick Becker for his announcement. Stay tuned.
Stop out to our facility, Highway 22 South. Let us build a truck for you.
Hello and welcome to the MHA Interpretive Center. It's the perfect stop along the Lewis and Clark Trail and the cultural hub of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Nestled along the shores of Lake Sagagawea in Newtown, North Dakota, 1 mile west of the Four Bears Casino. You can enjoy amphitheater performances, art exhibitions, and educational workshops utilizing our Living Cultural Center. Enjoy some coffee, browse our gift shop, and learn about the original people of this land. Learn more at mhanation.com/interpretive center.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Home on the Range offers a nurturing place for teens who may have just come from an unsafe or traumatic environment. Here, they receive therapy and education services centered around animals, and the surrounding nature provides opportunities for work, fun, and healing. Life skills learned at Home on the Range are carried with residents when they return to the community with new talents and a greater appreciation for themselves and others.
Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain, guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
West River Equipment of Mandan is here to help you maintain peak productivity in your operation. As an authorized dealer for many high-quality equipment lines, we have the new and used equipment it takes to make your farming, ranching, or construction operation profitable and efficient. West River Equipment also has the parts on hand and the experienced technicians in our shop to get your equipment back in action fast. Find what you need at West River Equipment on Old Red Trail in Mandan.
Welcome back to Open Range. We're talking to Dr. Rick Becker, former state representative and statewide candidate. Rick, you've been in this fray a long time. You know the challenges of winning and losing, but really working to represent people, you know, in the legislative or state level is a big deal. I mean, because you really work for the people.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit about what you're thinking in your mind for getting involved in staying involved, not getting involved, but you're looking at being running for something in 26. Talk to us about that.
Right. Well, I made in 24 when I conceded to Fedorchak, I said, this is my political career is complete, and I certainly intended for that to be true. And I think in a sense it is because of my approach. When I look at what's going on in D.C. and all of the crap that's out there, and the people I know that are good people from other states in Congress, and I see their change over the course of 2 to 6 years that they've been there, and I can just see in what their plans are and in how they think, oh, here's how we're going to turn it around. They actually don't believe they're going to turn it around. And that's something, when I ran for Senate, when I ran for Congress, I knew that getting to Washington, D.C., a single person's not going to be able to make changes. And I thought that was going to be very frustrating, but I was willing to do it because I thought I could at least be a megaphone for liberty, for doing the right thing, to like Rand Paul does. He gets out and you can understand what's going on, and it's not necessarily going the right way, but at least someone is calling it out and letting the people know. And I thought at least I could serve that purpose. And early in the race, I think it might have been April when I was running against Julie, and things were actually looking like we were going to win. This is before Trump endorsed Julie, and things were looking very, very good. We had some money coming our way. This is before Julie had a lot of the who was the previous speaker? McCarthy.
Yeah.
McCarthy money and various monies like that coming our way. So it looked like we were going to win. And I remember walking down the steps from the Capitol Hill Club, or walking out the front door, and I got this pit in my stomach because I thought, I'm going to win. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be living here. And I kind of got this sick feeling like, oh, this is going to be horrible. People think, oh, you're going for prestige and power and blah, blah, blah. No. I was going because I thought I could do good there, and I didn't want to, and it actually made me feel physically sick. And so on election night, I knew that I was going to win either way. Either I was going to actually win technically the race, and I was going to go and do what I could, or I was going to win in the sense that I tried, but I'm going to be able to stay home and stay with my family and do the things that I love. And so for that reason, I feel pretty darn certain I'm not going to be running for anything that's going to take me out to D.C. The answer is not in D.C. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not going to come from Washington, D.C. And so I'm looking at where things are now. I still have concerns in North Dakota with our spending levels. I have concerns with all the money we're giving to private corporations, even though it's in the Constitution that we can't. And in my district, District 7, I understand that there are one or more incumbents who are not going to be running again. And so I'm going to throw my hat in the ring again for state legislator for District 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going to run for the state legislature, either House or Senate. There's 2 seats. Talk a little bit about the candidates. So we have Matt Heilman,
Jason Doctor in the House, and Michelle Axman in the Senate.
And so you aren't really confirming whether you're going to run for the House or the Senate, but you are going to run for the legislature in District 7, is what you just said.
I want to work with the District 7 Executive Committee and with any incumbents who are still running to see where I might best be able to, be most effective. The House, the Senate, tomato in my mind. You're representing the same district, the same number of people. You're elected for the same number of years. There's half as many people in the Senate, so you could say, oh, my vote's twice as powerful. I don't know. I don't think it matters too much. Both chambers could use a lot of work. Lord knows the Senate used to be the worst place by far, but they really improved things over the last couple of sessions. So I'm happy to go either place, whatever is best for the district, I'm happy to do.
So when you look at North Dakota Legislature, you were served for 10 years. Mm-hmm. There was kind of a, you took a lot of heat because you tried to corral, if you will, some of the conservatives just to kind of stand on principle. Mm-hmm. And then the media and some of the bloggers, they went after you, called it the Bastiat Caucus, and they demonized it. And I on this show have said many times, the Bastiat Caucus was just a group of conservatives that met and talked about the issues. Yeah. And I think it was trumped up by a lot of the moderates in the Republican Party because they didn't like the idea that the conservatives' voice was actually growing. Do you think that was true?
Oh, 100%, Gary. Yeah, they did a good job of gaslighting, of doing kind of a psyop on the whole Bastiat Caucus. I called it the Bastiat Caucus. I named it because I thought Bastiat was an apolitical, non-triggering kind of thing. It's just like, who could disagree? If you're a conservative, how could you disagree with Bastiat, who believed in less taxes and less spending and so on and so forth. And so named it that. And it was just us conservative Republicans that wanted to get together to understand the bills and talk about it. And it morphed because of the big spending Republicans into something that was demonized and vilified and turned into something entirely different. So, that brings me to a point, though, that I was just done. And I might be wrong. I might be wrong in this. But I'm going in. The only reason I'm going in is because of going in with a new attitude. When I went in before, I had this approach of like, okay, I need to do everything I can. I'm responsible for getting good bills passed and for killing bad bills. I'm at least partially responsible to make the spending less. I'm responsible for holding my fellow Republicans accountable when they aren't following the state platform. I'm responsible. And I kind of took that on my shoulders. And that made it very much of a burden. It was not fun. The last 2 sessions I was there, I was just pissy. I had a bad attitude because I was not succeeding as far as I thought in being able to change people's minds, to show people that, this is, if you're Republican and you're conservative, if you're saying that, this is what we need to do. And so I'm going in there with an entirely different attitude. It's not my job to change other people. It's not my job to hold other people accountable. That's the people who vote for them. That's their job. I'm just going to go in and I am going to do the best I can, vote the best I can. If there's occasions where people are interested on my opinion or why it is or is not conservative, I'm happy to share those opinions. But I'm not going to get in there and try and tear things down because it just doesn't work. And I came. There was this little exercise my kids had me go through when they went through with ChatGPT. If you've used it a lot, it knows a lot about you. And you can have it do an evaluation, a psychological evaluation. And one of the lines that I had ChatGPT do and that it put out was something about I need to learn the difference between principled isolation and unnecessary alienation.
Wow.
And I think that it nailed it.
Great line. Say that again for the viewers out there.
Right. It said I need to learn the difference between principled isolation and unnecessary alienation. Meaning, if you know you're right and other people aren't following you, it's okay if you're alone. It's okay to stand as one if you're doing the right thing. But you don't need to alienate yourself unnecessarily because you may have disagreements or because of this or that. And so, that really hit me for whatever reason. I guess ChatGPT is a good counselor.
I think what's interesting is, you've been in 10 years, but there's these term limits going to be buffering up against people, and you won't, because you're new back, you aren't restricted. So you'll be able to serve a full 8 years in the House and a full 8 years in the Senate. As the law sits today, correct?
Yes,
that's what you choose to do.
Yes. Yep, that's correct. It applies only going forward, starting in in 22, but I was out by then. So yeah, that would be a long time. But I'm not guaranteeing anything that if I win and get in, I don't know if that'll be for 1 term, 2 terms, who knows.
I'd like to ask you a question in light of what I did on the horn with Leader Dick Armey. He made a comment when he ran from Fort Worth for Congress. He said, I knew my district needed me to represent their interests, but from day one, I really saw myself as a national congressman, representing the national interest for America and fighting for those.
Yeah.
Do you think that could be true for you in North Dakota? In other words, while you represent your District 7, which is, or 16,000 people, some odd number, representing the broader interest of North Dakota, because sometimes I think our legislators don't have a big enough vision. It's just who's talked to them lately.
Yeah, that's a great question, Gary. I completely agree with Dick Armey. When I've been there, I haven't so much represented District 7 as I've represented the state, because what's good for District 7 should be good for the state, and vice versa. And there are a lot of times legislators go in believing that they are to represent specifically their district. And it sounds like, well, yeah, obviously you're representing your district. But what I'm talking about is a term called parochialism, where you go in and you try and do everything for your district, even if it's at the cost of the rest of the state, right? So you try and get money funneled to your district for this project or that project, this special thing. And that I completely disagree with. Now, if there's something that you're working for that would benefit your district, if it comes through or whatever, right? That's good. But again, I guess I would simplify it just to say if you representing your district would not want other districts to do what you're doing, then you shouldn't do it, right? And it's the same with the U.S. with Dick Armey. You can have a plan that's going to funnel a bunch of money to your state, but if all the states do it, then all you're doing is putting the federal government further in debt. So from the state level, if what you're doing is trying to funnel money or special favors or special subsidies to your district, if every district did it, the whole state would be worse off. So in that sense, I fully disagree with this parochialism idea of represent your district. There was and this has come to pass. I was told, oh, you're not going to get reelected. I can't remember the exact situation, Gary, but it had to do with certain programs that would have sent more money, and Burleigh County Jail, maybe, I think it was, would have gotten a good chunk, but it wasn't a good program, and so I voted against it, and I stand by that.
We're going to go to the break. When we come back, I want to pick up on what you'd see some of your priorities that you would like to have. So we've been talking to Dr. Rick Becker, who just announced he's going to be running for the Legislature District 7. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Come on in and experience small-town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Yeah, U.S. Cattlemen is a member organization that each member has a vote in anything we do with policy. We're representing the independent cattleman or the cow-calf guy or an independent feeder or whatever. We like to support the independent producer. Talking about mandatory ID, we're talking about cool, we're talking about all the legislation that's going to be coming down with the new administration. There's going to be lots of moving and shaking, so always check us out at our website, uscattleman.org.
I'm $27,000 in credit card debt.
Okay.
You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Now's not the time to be doing math. The time to be doing math was when we didn't go into $200,000 in debt.
If you are freaked out and you're stuck in these debt payments and you think it has to be a part of your life, it doesn't.
We are Ladies of Another View. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Welcome back to Open Range. Talking to Dr. Rick Becker, who's announced he's going to be running for the state legislature from his district, which is District 7, which is kind of an outlying area around the Bismarck area. So Rick, talk to us a little bit about, I mean, you had some major accomplishments, your strong Second Amendment and, liberty pushing caucuses, thinking about freedom for citizens and pulling back on state. Talk to us about what some of those maybe either accomplishments that you felt good about, or in contrast with where do you want to go from here if you're going to get elected?
Yeah, it's funny, the establishment types, when I was running for statewide, they were tearing me down saying I don't accomplish anything, or Bostia Caucus doesn't accomplish anything. And it's hilarious because, boy, some of the bills that I've put through, big, important bills, and several of them passed and are now law. Whether it's the Second Amendment sanctuary state, which was huge in 21, or whether it's the constitutional carry, which was in 2017. We have search warrants for drones. We've got confidential informant reform, civil asset forfeiture reform, which is huge. North Dakota was in the bottom of the U.S. of all states, along with Massachusetts, as being the worst state for civil asset forfeiture. I mean, just one thing after another, and they're big bills. About 25% of my bills on any given session passed and became law. And someone might say, well, that's not a very good record. But I tell you what, these bills that I've done are not simple little no-brainer bills that just get rubber stamped. These are controversial. I brought up the first bill for educational choice back in 2015, I think, or maybe it was 17. And so sometimes they pass. Routinely, about half my bills pass in the House and half do not. And so those half go to the Senate, and about half of those bills pass and become law, but half don't, leaving me about 25%. So anyway, when you've got big, controversial, important bills, having a 25% pass rate, I'm good with that. Going forward, a lot of the same areas of concern, freedoms, First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment. I'd like to delve a little bit more into the 10th Amendment, especially because I see, federally speaking, we're just going down the crapper, and DC's not doing anything. They're just making things worse. And so I think it's important for states to be strong and perhaps organize together into state compacts to try and ensure. I mean, take a look. So here, Gary, look, the blue states on the western coast and in the northeast have banded together to form health coalitions because they don't agree with RFK Jr. and the CDC. And so they want to have their more restrictive, crazy time concerns with vaccinations and everything else. So they're forming state compacts. Now, if things go in 28 where we get a new president, a Democrat Congress, they stack the Supreme Court. After Trump's situation and how he pushed them, sending National Guard in, yada, yada, how he angered them, they're going to double down. That pendulum is going to swing hard, and it's going to smack us bad. And so I think it would be great if the states were prepared, the red states were prepared and had alliances and had coalitions to make sure that we don't have a tyrannical federal government hurting red states. So I'd like to look at that. And then, I mentioned in our Constitution, there is a clause in Section 18, Article 10, that prohibits the government from giving money to people. So when we have so much money coming, a lot of constituents said, well, why don't we do it like Alaska? Why don't we give money back to the people? And legislators will point out, we can't. We'd love to. But we can't because it's in the Constitution that we can't give out money. But in that same sentence, it says that we cannot donate or give money or lend money or buy shares in any business or any association, as well as any individual. But we're not following that. We're giving hundreds and hundreds of $millions away to private business. And what's worse than that is you cannot find out where that money went. You cannot find out what happened to it because you see the legislature gives it to the Department of Commerce, which is part of the government, and you should be able to find out. But the Department of Commerce gives it to a non-governmental entity. And that non-governmental entity hands it out to businesses. And even as a legislator, you cannot say, I want to know where that money went. I want to know where the taxpayer dollars went. I want to know if that money was used appropriately. I want to know if that business that you gave it to is even still in business. You can't even find that out as a legislator. That doesn't seem right to me. So I think there's a lot of area for improvement in our state that can come from the state legislature.
You know, I talk a lot about crony capitalism, and of course Hayek, as your book here talks about it, just, death on it. But the idea that that's going on to the tunes of $100 million, a lot of North Dakotans have used the legislative or executive branch to enrich themselves or enrich their friends, and you cannot find out about it. And I think that's why you have the movement and the populace of the Trump movement and groups that have just said, I've had enough of this, because you see someone who's, basically making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars off the taxpayers, you as a taxpayer, and it's just simply wrong.
Yeah, and I don't even blame the businesses that get it, right? Because if the government has some kind of program where they're handing out money, and you're a business in that field, and your competitors are going to go get the money, well, I mean, it makes sense that you should try and get the money too. The problem is that the money is made available in the first place, and that's a governmental fault. If they didn't make the money available, then there would be no money available for the businesses to take. Now, what I disagree with is when the businesses lobby and form coalitions with not only state agencies, but legislators and the lobbyists, and they get together and say, let's create a program that gives money to the business. That's nepotism, that's cronyism. But if the money is just available and you're a business and the government wants to give it to you, you'd be stupid not to take it. It's the same as if the government wants to, with this property tax, what they did, right? You can get up to $1,600, is it, cut on your property tax? Well, I don't know that was the best way to handle property tax. I think that was a bad way to handle it long term. But I'm still going to take the rebate or the cut or whatever. I mean, I'd be a moron not to.
So let's talk a little bit about leadership in the House and the Senate. Give me your perspective on that. We got a few more minutes, and I mean, with your background, obviously, I'm not putting that out there it's even on your mind, but the reality is there are leadership issues on both sides, the House and the Senate. What's your thoughts on how they've done? And I mean, obviously you can play a role in some of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, the David Hogue on the Senate, I've always thought he's a pretty solid guy. I'd like to see him lean into his conservative beliefs a little bit stronger, a little bit firmer. And then Mike LaFleur. Mike surprised me. He surrounded himself with people and put them into positions, people that I thought were probably, I question some of those decisions. And so, we'll see. I've heard Mike not even run again, but we'll see. It's not that I want to hedge my answers, but who knows what the landscape is going to look like a year from now, who's going to run. And it's always one of those things when someone says, do you support such and such a person? I know that's not what you're asking, but do you support this person? It's like, well, who else is running? I mean, I have to know the field before I know which person I'm supporting.
So let's talk about energy. I mean, obviously our industry, our government is funded 50% plus by the oil industry. I mean, I'm a pro-development, pro-energy, pro-fossil fuels all the way, but I sometimes feel they've overextended, or they have more influence than they should in the legislature. I mean, we see the CO2 pipeline, all the things that are wrapped around that stuff, where they just get what they want because they write big checks out, and they kind of bully the citizens of North Dakota through the legislature. And that's my take on it. But thoughts on that?
Well, I don't disagree with the effect and the outcome that you're talking about. But again, I don't blame the lobbyists. I don't blame the oil industry. They want power. They're going after it. I blame the legislators, the politicians, the agency heads. The only reason that the oil lobby has any power is because the weak need spine. Oh, there we go. I'm going into my thing. Wait. So if legislators and agencies just did their job and were not influenced by what the oil industry has to offer, everything would be fine. It's the fault of the legislators, the politicians, the bureaucrats.
So we got about 1 minute. Give me what you would want the citizens of District 7 to be thinking about if you decide to run, about Rick Becker.
Well, I think what I would consider is that I've got a track record of standing up for the right thing, and I think it's the same things, the same ideals and principles that most North Dakotans have of limited government, of more freedom, of less taxes, of spending limited to what's necessary for government. I mean, those are really, really simple things. Most of us agree with that. I've stood by that. And if you want someone that has some experience and that will stand by principles, then I'm probably your guy.
Well, I appreciate you coming on Open Range and sharing your announcement. We're going to have you back throughout the campaign as things evolve, because I think it's important for the viewers to get some of your vision of what you're thinking about statewide. So I appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thank you.
We've been talking to Dr. Rick Becker, who announced he's going to be running for the state legislature, District 7 here in the Bismarck area. I'm your host, Gary Emineth. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I want to tell you, Lady Blue and I, we got a lot of miles together, but you know what? You and I got a lot of miles together as well. And all I want to do is bring to you the information on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations. So I'm going to continue to travel the world and unearth the stories that make it possible that we can live in a free United States of America.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza. Are you dealing with arthritis, nerve and back pain, dry skin, or superficial wounds, but found no relief? Give Stewart's Natural Health a try. For over 4 decades, Stewart's Natural Health has been helping people and animals with herbal and natural oil lotions, ointments, and creams with a mission to help you relieve pain and feel your best using the power of nature. Discover the safe, drug-free solution to your pain, guaranteed or your money back. Visit stewartsnatural.health today.
We are the St. Mary Sisters. We are building a new facility here in Bismarck, North Dakota, for the sake of training young women to be courageous teachers in this state. The sisters will educate the younger generation to be fully alive through truth and discipline. The sisters' life of devotion and joy will make a positive difference in your community. Check out what we're up to, see what's going on, and join our mission to make a difference in the lives of the children of North Dakota.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
There's never been a better time to rediscover the style, reliability, and all-season, all-terrain fun of the all-new Nissan lineup at the new and improved Ryan Nissan. Whether it's the sleek and stylish Murano, the adventure-ready Pathfinder, or the reimagined, ready-for-anything 2026 Rogue, the all-new Ryan Nissan has the vehicle of your dreams at a price perfect for any budget. It's time to rediscover your passion for the road. It's time to rediscover the all-new Ryan Nissan, engineered to endure.
What's going on, everybody? Dr. Jake Schmidt's back with another Freedom Health Talk on Open Range. What we're going to be discussing today is something that I've talked about now a couple of different times. And what I think is important, what's really important, especially as we age, is the concept of muscle mass and strength. And so what we're going to be talking about today, it's kind of expanding on a topic that I've talked about now a number of times. But it's, what does it mean in the studies when they talk about grip strength? What does it mean in the studies when they say that, grip strength is one of the probably the number one predictor for mortality in elderly people? Does it mean, should we focus and really work on, because I had this question, should we really work on getting our grip stronger? Should we do that? Is that important? So no, I'm going to say no, I don't think that's important. In fact, I had this question from a really smart person. She asked me, she's like, so is that something that I should be working on? Is my grip? And I'm like, no. What the studies are showing, and I'm going to talk about this as we go through this segment, but what the studies are referencing, and they use grip strength as a metric, as a reference for overall strength. So the real important metric is, how strong are you? What's your base build? What's your base strength level? And then as we age, this gets more important, because there's a couple of things that take place as we age. Number one, and I think this is important, is diet changes. I'm not sure it's intentional, but the diet of people as we age changes. What ends up happening is, I think there's a number of reasons for this. I think some of it is the concept of scarcity. I don't have enough money. So what ends up happening is as we age, people will have a tendency, they eat less protein and more carbs. Again, one of the reasons for that is that, well, carbs are cheaper, protein's expensive, getting good quality beef, chicken, fish, it's expensive, relatively speaking. And so people as they age eat less of it because they don't have an income. They're on, fixed income. I don't know how many times I've heard, well, I'm on a fixed income, eating healthy is hard. I'm like, I know, yeah, it is. It's more difficult than eating crappy. I'm like, but your health is important, I would say, more important than your money for sure. Regardless of that conversation, we eat less protein. And as a result of that, you end up building less muscle. You end up having less of a base for the muscle to be developed. And when that happens, people will generally end up, well, there's a couple of things that happen. People end up either getting fat, like over fat, or they end up kind of withering away. And we've seen this with people, especially as they age, they get super skinny, like almost like your skin and bones. Well, what's happening, and this happens with cancer, but it's called cachexia. And it's when the body starts breaking down proteins for energy. And where do we get protein or amino acids? Where do we get those from? Muscle. So you start breaking down the muscle tissue to kind of convert it through the back door into energy, because you're not getting enough, right? And so we want to stimulate the body to make more muscle. And why this is important is that if you're building lean muscle, that's a healthy, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. That's a healthy body. That's a person who is leaning towards health. If you're burning muscle, you're sick, or at least you're in the process of sickness, if that makes sense. So I know that I didn't explain that as well as it sounded in my head. But if you're building muscle, you're in an anabolic phase, meaning I'm growing. It's growth mode. And if you're burning muscle, you're catabolic, you're withering away, if that makes sense. Hopefully that explained a little bit better. So that's number one, is we're not getting enough protein as we age. Number two, and maybe it's because of number one, it could be for other reasons, we end up not working out hard enough. And by working out, I don't mean cardio. So the only time that I would recommend an aged person, and what I mean by that is somebody, kind of like in that mid 60s and beyond, the only time I would recommend cardio would be if the person has some cardiovascular issues. So there's a proclivity to heart disease. And again, I'm not going to say the cardio is bad. I'm not going to say that. Cardio has a benefit. I think that the research is quite clear that you could do cardio every single day and still die early because you don't have the muscle mass to support you. On the flip side, that the research is clear that if you are consistently an anabolic, you're building lean muscle, you're not withering away, you've got a good metabolism, good base of muscle. And that's, by the way, grip strength is the way they use grip strength to kind of reference and determine that you will live longer. We know that. The studies are clear. So when I'm talking about exercising with people, I'm saying you need to be strengthening your muscles. The way you do that is not through cardio. Again, cardio isn't bad. If you want to do that one day a week because you enjoy it, it's a stress reliever, fine, go nuts, right? Or you can do that in addition to, but you cannot use cardio in replace of physical strength training. So what do we do? Okay, so let's say this, you're in your, that group, 65 and beyond, in its 60s. The number's irrelevant. You can just, if you're not doing this, you should be. So you're not working out consistently, building that muscle. So what should you do? Okay, first and foremost, you need to start where you're at. So if you are 80, I'm going to be extreme. You're 80 years old, you're frail, you're like, man, life is hard right now. Okay, so what should you do? You start where you're at. Can you do it? Can you right now do a squat? What I mean by that, can you, while you're standing, go all the way down to where your knees are at 90 degrees and then go back up? Can you do that? If the answer is yes, awesome, way to go. Start there. If the answer is no, then we need to modify that, because that's a good baseline. And when I mean baseline, that's a good kind of like a good starting point for understanding where you're at physically. So a squat, again, I'll demonstrate one squat for you. So I'm standing up, right? You see me standing. I'm going to go all the way down and I'm going to come all the way back up. Notice I didn't hold my legs. I didn't have to sit in a chair. I went down and I came back up. Now, if you can't do that, there's a couple of ways to modify that. Number one, you can hold on to something, a guy on my table right here. And number two, what you can do is I have a chair behind me. You can, as you're standing up, you just sit down slowly into your chair and then stand back up. So you're using the chair to catch you at the bottom. And so what I do a lot of times with my peeps that are, in their, 60s, 70s, and 80s that have, bad knees, or they just haven't done anything for a while, I'll just say, well, scooch to the edge of the chair. So you're sitting on the edge, and then work on getting up without, using your arms, right? That's just a great first step. Now, I would say, start off, I want to do 20 squats a day. 20. That's not hard. Maybe not 20 at once, but you can spread that out. Start with 20. Once 20 becomes easy, bump it to 40 and then 60. Your goal is you want to be able to do 100 squats a day without holding on to anything. Okay? That's your goal. I'm not saying you should, I have to get to there. I'm just saying that's your goal. You're just continuous improvement. Now, do you understand here? This is an important concept to understand. If I started off and I could do 1, after a couple of weeks, I can do 10. Innately, what is that telling us? You're improving. You're building muscle. You're getting stronger. That's a good thing. So that's how you do that when it comes to the lower half. Upper half, you can do that where you can do push-ups. Well, I can't do a push-up. I can't even get on the ground right now, Dr. Jake. Okay. Go up against a wall. Lean against the wall. I'm going to pretend here's my wall. Turn this way. There we go. And I'm just going to do a push-up against the wall. And I'm just going to do this. All right. Again, same thing. Start with 10. I can't do 10. Do 1. Now, why this is super important, especially as we age. Now, again, assuming that you're going to listen to me and say, all right, I need more protein. Yes, you have to have protein to build muscle. And then you're going to say, okay, well, I can do this. I can, I'll start. And if you need help, by the way, go, find every gym, pretty much every gym has somebody there as a trainer. If you need help, get help. That's okay too. But you're going to start building muscle. Here's the important thing. You need to understand this. When you start to improve, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more mobility. And again, I don't care if you're 85 or 65 or 25. If you work out and you build strong muscles, you can do more. I've found personally, in my opinion, in my experience, I like to be able to do more. I don't like to be able to do less. I want to be able to do more. So that's what's important. You can do more. That getting stronger will give you more freedom. And that's the thing with health. Again, across the board, the amount that you invest in your health is what pays the dividends, right? Whether we're talking money or time or just sweat equity. The harder you work, the more you get out of it. So the biggest thing, if I can leave you with anything as we kind of wrap up this little segment, this Freedom Health Talk, is that your goal should be to get stronger. How do I get stronger? I need to work my muscles. So you maybe want to go get buy yourself some bands, exercise bands, the elastic bands. And you can do you can find online band exercises and then pick a muscle, legs, back, arms, and then just do them. Super easy, super, super simple. By doing that, it'll afford you the freedom to do things. This one lady in particular that I've been helping out, she's like, wow, I can walk further. I don't need my, cane, walker, whatever. You're right. You don't. You just need to start. So get after it, start working, and then also eat more protein so you can build that muscle so that you can have that life you want right now as you're in your retirement. Nobody wants to wither away. Don't do that. Don't be normal. Do the right thing and get better. This has been Dr. Jake Schmitz with another Freedom Health Talk. Love you guys. Until we meet again, get to work.
Come on in and experience small-town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. The Set Motors, where our customers send their friends.
Welcome to Arrowhead Cleaners. Newly renovated, modernized, and ready to make your cleaning needs hassle-free. From commercial and residential wash and fold laundry services to the latest in professional dry cleaning techniques, we are dedicated to your unique needs, offering alterations, fabrications, and even custom hat making. So whether you're a busy professional, a family on the go, or even a rodeo champion, Arrowhead Cleaners is here to take your things from messed up to dressed up. Now celebrating our 64th year in Arrowhead Plaza.
Hello, friends. This is Culture Crossroads. Join me, Andrew Southbridge, and my co-hosts, R.C. Williams and Juliana Ormond, as we tackle the issues shaping America. From politics to pop culture, to faith, freedom, family, and the future. From a faith-based conservative perspective that you won't get anywhere else. We stand at the intersection of faith and freedom. This is Culture Crossroads. Culture Crossroads. Sundays at 5 p.m. Central on BET TV.
We are ladies of another view. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beth.